Arsenal 0-3 Manchester City. Bernardo Silva, Silva and Leroy Sane strike an exceptional first-half blitz to leave Arsene Wenger staring into the abyss. They gave the official attendance as 58,420. How long has Diane Abbott been working at Arsenal? That is the only pity of this Manchester City performance, there were so few here to see it. This was the night Arsenal's chickens came home to roost, even if no one else did. A stadium so deserted to begin with, the crowd figure was tickets sold, not bodies through the turnstiles. It was impossible to judge whether there was actually another walkout before the end, as there had been when these teams met at Wembley on Saturday. It had the vibe of a testimonial for a particularly unpopular player, one who had stuck in a series of transfer requests, spent the last 6 months on strike, and been filmed half-cut in a nightclub, calling the fans morons. Arsenal may not have deserved better in their top-down complacency, but City certainly did. They are 16 points clear now, and 4 wins from the title, if they can take maximum points from those games, including the meeting with Manchester United on April 7th. To put this win into perspective, the last time City won by a bigger margin away at Arsenal, the club was still based in South London, and had Woolwich attached to the name. Yet the margin of victory could have been greater. Having dispatched Arsenal with 3 first-half goals in an 18-minute spell, City toyed with them for the remainder, conserving energy for the match with Chelsea on Sunday. Arsenal had their moments, even missed a penalty, but there was a humiliating gulf here. Everything Arsenal aspire to be, City are. They do everything that Arsenal do, only 5 times better. In their dreams, Arsenal play like Manchester City, but that is all they can do for now. Dream. The distance is not imagined either, but finite. Arsenal are now 5 points nearer to bottom club West Bromwich Albion than they are to Manchester City, and, at times, it looked all of that. City took them apart in a brief spell, when they elevated their play, and left Arsenal in their wake. They were so clinical, so stylish, it is hard to believe this was not part of a wider plan. City knew they had the beating of Arsenal, and once the lead was established, knew they could handle them to the conclusion too. They were just so much more effective. For Arsenal, it was the most desolate of occasions. Blasts of snow chilling a cavernous stadium, barely populated by Arsenal fans, putting the irate in Emirates. It is hard to imagine there has ever been a half of football so utterly humbling for Arsene Wenger and his club. Excuses can be made about the weather, but equally this was evidence of the growing unrest. That is what should worry Arsenal's executives. The City fans made it here. There were no empty spaces in the away end, no one who had looked at the forecast and thought, not tonight. And if they could make the journey from Manchester, where were the locals? The only conclusion is that the will, the devotion, has been sucked from them. They looked at the weather, and wondered if they really needed to go out in the snow. For this lot, for Arsenal, that wouldn't have happened to Wenger teams of decades past. Their fans wouldn't have abandoned them, no matter the cold. The freezing conditions were an excuse. Thursday night's gate was really a protest vote, or a cry for help. The irony being, that Arsenal started relatively brightly. They probably had more about them in the opening 15 minutes than they did for 90 at Wembley in the EFL Cup final. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang had 2 early half chances when Manchester City goalkeeper Ederson was called into action, and an Aaron Ramsey cross ricocheted off Vincent Kompany in the middle, hastily snapped up by Ederson again. There was some good hustling, and Henrik Mkhitaryan had a shot saved. Then City awoke, and Arsenal went 3-0 down. City will take apart any team that is not switched on defensively, and when was the last time we could say that of Arsenal? Chelsea in the EFL Cup this season? The home game against Tottenham? Fingers of one hand, really. Manchester City were too fast, too sharp, too smart for them. Every goal was its own little work of art. Fluid, inventive, purposeful. City know what they are about, and are marshalled by a coach whose devotion to beauty finds no room for compromise. Wenger was like that once too. Not anymore. If he thinks City's success is solely down to money, as he has suggested, he is very mistaken. There is a philosophy at work much stronger than his own, these days. City exploded. Here was a team that knew where the goal was and how to get there swiftly. Not with long balls, but direct pace, furiously accurate passing exchanges and exquisite finishing. At least those who turned up can say they saw the best team in the country, arguably one of the greatest teams this country has ever witnessed. The goals, what marvels they were. For the first, after 15 minutes, Leroy Sane picked up the ball wide on the left and cut inside, beating 4 players as he went. The first was Hector Bellerin, the last Shkodran Mustafi. Granit Xhaka dived in as he does, to little purpose. Reaching the edge of the area, red shirts strewn like litter in his wake, he squared the ball across the area to Bernardo Silva on the right. He cut inside, and unleashed a shot that defeated Petrusech and hit the net, as if guided by technology. The Emirate went quiet. Like the beast from the east, they knew what was coming. And, terrifyingly, it arrived. Sane took Mustafi apart down the left, and slipped the ball inside to Sergio Aguero. He played it first time into the path of David Silva, who controlled the ball with one foot, switched it to the other, and buried it past a powerless Sech. It was like watching a magic trick, a sleight-of-feet magic trick. Third was a classic Manchester City counter-attack. Aguero broke down the right, found Kevin De Bruyne inside, and received a perfectly weighted return. He crossed and Sane as good as ran it into the net, the locals voicing their frustration, unified by boos. Easy, easy, City responded, and it was. Even when Arsenal were rewarded a penalty for Nicolas Otamendi's 53rd minute foul on Mkhitaryan, they could not make it count. Aubameyang stepped up, went right and was kept out by Ederson, both hands to the ball too, his dive exaggerating the stretch of his role. Not that it is necessary to show off against Arsenal. For City, it was enough to just turn up.